Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Today, I am thrilled to talk about the Southern California market, how a top agent in that area is dealing with low inventory, high demand. You're going to get a lot from this episode. Thank you for joining us. Talk soon. All right, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Again, I'm your host, Justin Stoddard. Thrilled to be with you today. Today, I have with me a friend. His name is Leo Chen. Before I give a full intro, Leo, thanks for coming on the show today, my friend.
Thank you, Justin. Super excited to talk to you. We've been seeing each other here and there for some time, and I have a lot of people connected together. So super excited to talk and share and offer anything that I can to the audience out there.
I love it. I love it. So let's get into a little bit of a bio about Leo. Obviously, you come out of the tech world in real estate now. How long have you been in real estate, Leo?
So I've been in real estate a little over 7 years now.
Okay.
So we're getting up there and getting established pretty well in the area. So as you know, Justin, prior to that, I worked in tech for over 15 years.
Very cool. What was the direct, maybe one of the bigger reasons why you got out of tech and into real estate? What was the draw?
Well, tech wasn't necessarily my first choice in one of my, along with many other career choices I've made. But having known just, the way my brain works, tech, I could always make a living at tech. And so it wasn't necessarily my first choice, but through that, through the boom of tech, through the 2000s, I was able to take advantage of that and really had a great run of it. But honestly, just, tech is such a moving industry. There's something new literally every single day. And, I was tired of chasing that, to be honest with you. I wanted something that was more down to earth, more people oriented, and not so much of the hustle and bustle of, testing out the latest, greatest, social media app or the next beta software that comes out, and have earned a lot of skills and knowledge and management through all that stuff, and wanted to start my own business.
Yeah, I love it, Leo. There's a lot of people, right, that leave kind of the corporate world and head into real estate with this promise of more income and more time freedom, right? And I think anybody that gets into the industry also realizes that it's also very competitive. A lot of people want kind of the lifestyle that real estate can offer. Obviously, you've kind of dug deep roots. You're being mentored by some of the top people in the business. You've created quite a name and a brand for yourself. What are a couple tips that Leo could offer that would be beneficial? Before we get into kind of the full topic, these are more just curiosities for me. What would be a couple things that you would offer to an agent that's maybe just getting started that you wish you would have known 7 years ago?
Well, more than anything, really to find the passion in the industry, because that's going to fuel everything. So that's number one, first and foremost, because I'm fortunate. For me, I love real estate and I love helping people. I love being in the community. I love building relationships, which was some of the things that were lacking in my tech world previously. But if I had to offer anything else outside of that, is that a very smart person finally put it into words for me that I could not put it into myself, is that real estate is a team sport. It's a team sport, meaning you cannot do it all on your own. And if you did, you'd be tired and resentful. And so that's not a successful formula. And so couldn't have said those words better for me to really hit home, is that if I had to start over, I would get into a group of people, into a mentor, into a coach, into a team of some sort, where they can help me, get my feet wet and experience everything possible to be able to learn from the best people that I can find. And that's the main thing that I would tell anyone getting into real estate, or maybe been in the real estate for a while.
Are you recommending, Leo, that people actually, like, if they're getting started, to join a real estate team, or to build their own kind of team, if you will, around those people that are related to the real estate transaction?
Well, I took the latter route. I felt that I had plenty of life experience, work experience, management experience, and business building experience to start my own team. But if I had to do it all over again, I would have probably uh, speeded up that process by joining a really good, successful team with a really good mentor and leader in it, so that I can learn as fast as I could, and then decide if I wanted to start my own team or not. Because we all need that foundation, and it's really super difficult to try to get that foundation when you are not working as part of a team that's already functioning well, already successful, already being able to give you all the opportunities that you couldn't maybe the first 2-3 years.
Great insight. Great insight, Leo. I want to circle back on some of the things that you've done when it comes to marketing innovation, right, with your tech background. But before I go there, I'd like to really have a conversation with you at this point about what's happening in the Southern California market. I know I was a home builder through the Intermountain West, and things were starting to happen in the California market just prior to the big recession. And we told ourselves that, hey, that's happening in California. We can't expect to have that happen up here. We're a different market. Well, when in actuality, the California market was just ahead of us, and had we been looking at it through a different lens, or maybe even the correct lens, would have seen that we had a year or so kind of heads up as to what was happening. So whether or not that be exactly true now when it comes to real estate as opposed to home building back then, I do think that the California market tends to lead in a lot of different things. And I'd love to hear from you just what's happening on the ground in Southern California, Orange County area. That may be an indicator as to what's coming in the future for some other markets. So please do share with us what's going on.
Yeah, I really love what you said, because it's super, super interesting. In the past, I lived in Hawaii for a couple of years. I lived on the island of Kauai, and super small town and stuff like that. But prices are super expensive. But having lived and owned a home and running my business in Southern California, I also had my eyes on both markets. And incidentally, Hawaii market was a year behind the California market. So I could literally see it either going down or going up and know what's happening in the Hawaii market. I was so interested because I wanted to buy a second home in Hawaii, and be able to live some of the time in Hawaii and then the rest of my time building my business and everything in California. So I think it's super great insight on your part to know that, California, is kind of a bellwether for most part of the country. We probably can't compare specifically to New York, because New York is such a specific market with its own dynamics. But the rest of the country, I think it does apply, And so right now, everybody knows the 3 I's. And if you don't know the 3 I's, you should know the 3 I's. It's inventory, all right, okay, it's interest rates, and it's inflation. If you didn't know anything else about the market, if you knew at least something about those 3 things, you can know exactly what's happening. Inventory is super low, right? We have historically low interest rates because the government's trying to make sure we don't have any big fluctuations and impact the economy where they can't reel it back in one way or the other. And then the last thing that we didn't expect just a few years ago is all this inflation from $7+ trillion that they put into the market, right? And so it's impacting here in California more than anything, because everything is just hyper magnetized here in California. There's lots of money, there's lots of people, there's lots of politics, there's lots of taxes, there's lots of inflation, right? And so because of that, we're all feeling everything all at the same time. And then in the rest of the country, it kind of gets rippled, into the rest of the country. And so right now, what we're seeing is that interest rates is creeping up a little bit, just because we have so many people looking to buy homes, so much demand. It's going to take a little more than just a 1% interest rate to really deter those people, because I always told people, and I'll still tell them now, is that anything below 5% interest rate, like you don't have to worry. You should just get into the mortgage, and then you can adjust later. You can refinance if it goes down. If it goes up, you're safe. You're not going to get crazy into the 7 or 8, 9 interest rates that some of us remember if we're old enough. So really still historically low interest rates. So that's still giving a lot of buyers a lot of confidence if they're savvy enough and have a good real estate agent to advise them that, hey, don't be freaked out about an 8%, up or down in which way. And really the prize here for the buyer is to find that right home, to settle their family, to raise their kids in the right school districts, to live the lifestyle by the beach, for example, which a lot of my clients do, is the goal there. So don't take your eye off the ball, because we can definitely get you the home if you follow the process that we help you with. Being prepared, know realistically what the home's going to sell for, and bid appropriately of what your value and what your limit is. Not get caught up in all the rest of everybody else what they're going to bid on. But right now we're still getting 10, 20, 25 buyers to a home, right?
Wow.
So we are still hitting our highs, but we may, depending on how the interest rates go, we may start to slow down. But this spring is our highest, most active season right now, so everybody's looking to kind of see where it goes from here. But in the short term here, if you want to buy a home right now, we should have more inventory than the rest of the year, as things come on. And in case you don't know, other than how many people to a house, normally if we had 1,000 homes in a market, we're having 20 to 25% of that 1,000 homes would be 200, 250 homes. Is what we have right now. If in your city there's normally 100 homes on the market on a regular year, you're seeing about 20 to 25. So inventory is super low. Okay, so it's okay. You just have to be smart and have to make right decisions with a good agent that's going to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you're pricing, putting in offers at the right price with the right terms, and then you should be okay. I'll tell you, everybody right now, hopefully this gives people a lot of encouragement, is that everybody that works with me gets a home. Whether it's 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 6 weeks from now, we're going to get you a home, as long as you follow the process and you understand what it takes to do that.
I love it, Leo. That's a great thing. One of the things that that I teach, and that people that follow me learn repeatedly, is that it's not a good idea to try and be the cheapest agent in town. Just be the best agent. And I think one of the ways you can do that is always by expanding the knowledge that you bring to your clients. It's one thing to be able to be knowledgeable when it comes to other agents, but if you can take something interesting like you just shared and simplify it and deliver it to agents, it's not just what you know, but it's your ability to communicate it to them so that they know. Right? It doesn't help that you know necessarily. It really helps when you can communicate that. And what you just shared there with the 3 eyes, I think was absolutely brilliant. That everybody ought to be able to understand that. Obviously, when inventory's down, that's going to cause prices to go up. Right? Simple supply and demand. When interest rates are up, that's going to cause demand to go down. Right? Because people's buying power. And inflation, what I hear you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when inflation's up, again, people's buying power is down because things just cost more expensive. Would that be the appropriate way to kind of, if you could simply categorize inflation, would that be the right, corresponding consequence of increased inflation?
Yeah, I think inflation is super interesting right now in the market, because we've had historic rise in interest rate that most of us have ever seen in our entire lifetimes. And I think this is a really interesting mix into our low inventory, low interest rate environment. Is that if you normally would buy a $1 million home, let's just make easy numbers, and over the last 12 months, I know in Southern California here, our regular in our county, Orange County, has gone up 23.5%. Okay, in the last 12 months. So if you were wanting to buy $1 million house 12 months ago, today it's $1.25 million. Okay, 1.25. Okay, so where in your life, whether you own a business or you have a job, high paying job or something like that, where are you going to earn an extra $250,000 in anything that you do? Very, very few opportunities to do that, right? So I've had clients I've encouraged to buy 12 months ago. Maybe they bit the bullet, and when in 6 months ago they still capitalize on some of the rise in prices. But then I still have clients who are looking, for 3-4 months. For one reason or another, they're a little bit on the fence, but at the same time, they don't want to miss out, but they haven't fully pulled the trigger yet. But in those few months, they may have lost the time cost that they put themselves into. Could have been $100,000. It could be more, right? And so that's the effect of inflation that's happening in our market. So if you're having a good understanding about that, as a buyer, you should know, like, hey, if I've decided to buy, okay, I should buy as quickly as I can and get the best deal I can, of course, okay, but I will not lose out to other offers for 10, 15, or even $20,000 because I'm going to earn that back in less than 3 months, right? In equity, okay? And so I think that's important to understand. But I know what everybody's thinking right now. Everybody's thinking, well, what if the market crash? Then my value is going to go down and I'm going to overpay for my home. I remember that was the case in 2009, all that kind of stuff. Totally valid. Then you should decide, hey, maybe it's not the right time for me to buy. Okay, maybe I need to hold off. Maybe I think some sort of correction is going to happen and I'm going to wait for that. Okay, but I will say that, okay, what would you do as a buyer if 6 months, 1 year from now, we don't have a crash and it continues to either rise a little bit more, okay, or flatten out a little bit more and we stay at similar price that we have now, okay, except it might be a little more expensive. What is your thought process then? Because now it's higher than it is today. Okay, what would you do 1 year's time? If it was down, okay, great, you have the money, you buy. If it's up, how would you feel? If you feel like, oh my God, I should have bought a year ago. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed out. Oh my God, interest rate is 4.5%, 5% now. It was 4% then. Like, if you have any kind of regrets, I would say you should try to buy right now. So that's my advice to buyers, to how to think about how to future forecast themselves. And there's no wrong or right answers. It's really just how you feel. Nobody has a crystal ball, right? So I'm here to kind of show you the numbers, show you the facts, show you where things are going, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm sure most people were thinking that Russia invading Ukraine was very less likely about a month ago, but things happen, right? And because of that, the Feds are helping our economy make sure that we don't have a big shift, and so they're holding off a little bit on interest rates. So that's good for us.
I think one thing that really stands out to me is that when you work with a professional, I think for everybody listening to this, you want to be poised as that person, right? You want to help your clients to see repeatedly that they're working with a master, with an expert, with a professional. Because when they do, a professional, what do they help you to do? They help you to avoid the opportunity cost of indecision, one way or the other, right? And I think, I'm in the coaching space, consult real estate agents, and oftentimes I'll have them delay, and then they come back and they say, boy, I really wish I would have done this 3 months ago. And for some of them that I'm really close, I can have the conversation to say, we should probably calculate. It's probably healthy for you to understand the decision-making process and what happened there and how much it actually cost you. Because when you don't have certain systems in place that are proven to generate a certain return, the delay on, I think I'll try that on my own, I'm not quite sure yet, there's a cost to waiting, right? There's a cost to delay. Same thing when working with a professional real estate agent. When you have an expert that can really put the numbers in front of you and empower you to make the right decision for yourself, it allows you to not work so much on hyperbole, to not work so much on emotion, and really be able to get down to what's the right decision for us. Is it to buy? Is it to delay? Is it to sell? Is it to not? I love that about you and about other professionals out there, is that they make themselves extremely valuable and make any talk of, well, someone else will do it for a lower fee. The only time that comes up, and should ever come up, is if there's no value, right? Like the price it becomes an issue when they can't see that there's any value there. And when you're having these conversations, hopefully some of which you're pulling from Leo today, is this ability to make yourself invaluable, to make yourself irreplaceable, to where this concept of, well, so-and-so's going to do it for less, it becomes completely irrelevant because of not just the value that you add, but also the documented history and testimonials that you should be gathering now of people saying this was the result of having an expert by my side, right? This is how much I made. Like you said, Leo, I made $250,000 last year because I had a great real estate advisor that really guided me to to make our own best decision. And I think that's super important for professionals to know in this market, where there are others that are simply playing the price game and it's a race to the bottom for them.
Yeah, I think future casting for them, what they would do. We're not trying to say, hey, the market's going to go up, market's going to go down. It's more about what would you do if the market went up? How would you feel? What would you do if the market came down? How would you feel? Now, knowing what you feel, what would you choose today to see where that's going to go? Right. So I think it's not our job to tell them what's going to happen. It's our job to show them, hey, here are the different ways it could happen. Justin, you're in the coaching space. I'm sure you've talked to many agents, right? Hey, I want to make 500,000, $500,000 next year. I made 350,000. How would you feel if you made, 750,000? How would you feel if you made, the same 350,000? How would you feel if you had a bad year and you made 200,000? Well, let's see how you would feel now that you know, okay, how that feel in those scenarios. Like, we're going to do whatever we can to avoid, those things, because now you know what you would feel if that happened, right? Then that allows the decision making process, super easy. We can see our goals and we can see that, hey, we don't want to, once we start falling in that other direction, we can self-correct and say, no, that's not the feeling, that's not the direction we're going, because I know exactly what that looks like and I want to go the other way. So it's the same thing with the buying or selling decision, right? I love what you said about commissions, because we have clients that say, hey, I want to pay least as possible. And I don't want to get into a bidding war. Like, we hear that like all the time, every day. But I will say I have some clients, and I'll just point one out as an example. Okay, they did everything that I asked them to do. And in 2 weeks, we got them 3 offers accepted, not just 1, but 3. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people wanted all of those homes too, but because of our relationship building, we ask the right questions to the listing agent. We sort out all the information, and then we also analyze and calculate, make sure that we know what our projected home value for that is and what my clients are willing to pay for it, and then give the best terms that we possibly can. So they ended up with those offers. They picked one. They went into escrow, but they thought, well, you know what? We stretched just like you asked me to. We put in all the money that we could possibly afford on this home, and now we're in this situation where we got the home. Okay, we can't afford anything further. It turns out that home, after doing the inspection, needed a new roof and needed major termite repairs of $8,000 or $9,000. So we're looking closer to $18,000 or $19,000 to do those 2 repairs. The sellers were willing to repair the termite, which they're kind of required here in California. Okay, so we're out of the woods there. But my clients are buying this home that it's new to them. They're looking at a $12,000 to $14,000 new roof to pay for within the next year or 2, and they just put in all the money they possibly had to earn the acceptance of this offer. So we went in, negotiated, and told the sellers that, hey, we gave you the best price possible because we really wanted the home. We're very serious about this home. But we did not expect to find this in our inspection where we needed a new roof. We're not asking you to pay for a whole new roof, but we're asking you to maybe meet us halfway so that we can, save up the rest and pay for it on our own. So if you guys can help us with that and cooperate on both sides, okay, we're happy to go forward. Or they may have to decide whether they're going to drop out or not. But because of that conversation, we were able to get the sellers to agree. Now, they didn't want to do it, and they were thinking about it for a couple of days. But we really just made a case that, hey, these are a young couple starting their new lives. They put in their entire savings into this home to get this home. They do not want to drop out of escrow. But of course, they made that offer not knowing that there's a problem with the roof. And so because we made that clear, they were finally willing to do it. And literally at the end of the day, they saved that $8,000 to $9,000 for termite repair, and then another $8,000 to $9,000 for the half of the cost of the roof. Okay, so That's an example of what a good agent will do for you. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you need to hire me, but at least hire someone good that will do that for you. Okay. Because for them, okay, they may not have been able to be negotiated to get that money back from the sellers to make it easier for them to be able to do the proper repairs later on. So I want to just encourage buyers out there. It's not all about just the final price. It's not all about the bidding. It has a lot to do with everything else surrounding it and what you end up with in the end. And in this case, in the end, they got half of the roof paid for. They got the termite, cost, paid for, and so they felt that that was good, that they can handle that, and they got the house of their dreams.
I love it. I would think if you are in Southern California, I think Leo's a great person to hire, but that's just my opinion. But I think you're exactly right, Leo. Is that the principle is correct? Is that you and I have both learned from the same mentor that conversion happens in conversation. And unfortunately, I think in our tech-driven world today, which maybe is part of the reason why I hear that you left technology to come into real estate, is because there's more conversations, there's more community, right? And I think when you can really, because to the sellers, that like on paper, that may not have made sense for them to do that. But once you come to the seller, say, here's the situation, in good faith, they put their very best foot forward. And now we're learning this. It tends to go from just an IQ thing into like an EQ thing, right? And you probably know my reference there as well, is that people are able to bring in some of the emotion of making a decision and not having it all be an intellectual thing. And people are able to make decisions that not just are in the best interest of somebody else, but of themselves as well, right? We as humans aren't just about numbers. We're also about doing the right thing and taking care of other people around us and being a part of a community. And I think when you have a trusted advisor agent, right, somebody who really adds more value, you can trust that the person's going to be having those conversations. Time with you is flying, my friend. I'm going to have to do this just because I looked up and saw what time it is, and we are about out of time. So I want to ask you one more question, but before I do that, I want to let people know about the Wisdom Club, right? You've created a club in Southern California. Tell us quickly about that, and then I've got one more question for you.
Yeah, the Wisdom Club came out of just before the pandemic, where I was sharing a lot of inspiration, ideas, quotes, things that I come across that really inspired me to be better in person, be better in my community, and better in my business. And so I decided to start a Facebook group to be able to house all that stuff, to funnel people who are interested in stuff into that group. And we're a growing group, and a lot of people have really gotten a lot out of it. I've gratefully have gotten messages said that I got them through a tough time and things like that. So I really wanted to be able to serve in that way. It costs nothing. We're just a community to be able to share and give you a quick pickup in the morning. Some of us people out there that know me and Justin know that we're both part of 5 a.m. Club, where we get up and we learn a little something to kind of kickstart up our day. Where the Wisdom Club does kind of the same thing for us. And during the pandemic, I did 63 interviews as a podcast live interview, just like we're doing here, with business owners who are having tough time with COVID, or small business around our community, and sharing their inspirations and sharing how they're passionate about their business, sharing what they're passionate about their community and their life. So that's what the Wisdom Club is about. I'd love for anyone out there who is watching this to join and get a little something out of it and participate.
I love it, Leo. All right, my final question is this: you're a big thinker. That's why you're here on the show today. What does Leo Chen do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your own possibilities to where they're always growing? What does that look like for you?
Well, it never ceased to amaze me that transformations in our lives does not happen in isolation. Some of you might have heard that before, and it just amazes me each and every day how, if we surround ourselves with people that will support you, care about you, but also give you ideas of what you're going through and what some of the steps and journey that they might have gone through to be able to share with you, is super, super important, whether in your own personal life or in your business, whatever ways that you're wanting to grow. I know I want to grow every single day. And so we surround ourselves with a lot of people like Justin, who are putting out this podcast and showing other people what what other people are doing, what great things people are doing, so that we can all up level ourselves. And so that's my big thing, is hopefully you're surrounding yourself with great mentors, great fellow colleagues, and even people in the Wisdom Club to be able to kind of help you and support you.
I love it, Leo. Such a pleasure to have you on the show today. Again, as I mentioned, I would love to have you back, and we'll have to continue our conversation, because I really appreciate everything you shared about your market, how that pertains to being a great agent. And I know that we've all received a lot of value from you today. So thank you for that. And for everybody listening here today, my final request, you know what it is. It is these 3 simple words, and which are: go think bigger. Leo, thanks for helping us do that today, my friend.
Thanks, Justin.